What is going on, you beautiful, beautiful bastards? This is Unnecessary Rambling. I am Brandon Sylvia. Thank you all for joining me here today to go over my 2023 video game predictions. My video game predictions extravaganza, if you will, where we're going to be sitting here today and going over the shit that I think will take place in the world of gaming in the next, 12 months or so. So I hope you were all on board for some mindless speculation here today. And I guess it would be 11 months, not 12 months, because we couldn't consider January, but you know what I mean. So let's go ahead and kick this thing off. We're going to go through it in different categories. Everything will be listed down below in the timestamps. We'll go through some news predictions. We'll go through some reveal predictions and then some sort of hopeful predictions that are more, reveal related. So, yeah. Like I said, man, thanks for joining me here today. If you want to list out your predictions down below in the comments, some new games you think will be revealed, some sort of, just out there predictions in the world of gaming news or whatever, drop that stuff down in the comments below. And as always, I will shoot the shit with you. All right, so let's go ahead and start it off with some news predictions. We'll go through those first because I don't think those are as interesting as like reveal predictions, So let's go ahead and kick it off with my first news-related prediction, and that is going to be, I think Square Enix will finally be bought off by somebody or bought out by somebody. I don't really know, whether it be Sony, Nintendo, fucking Tencent, somebody. I just feel like someone is going to buy Square Enix this year. They've had a very weird... They've just been acting very strangely within the last year or so, with packing all their big 2022 games right next to each other as if they were trying to, artificially inflate the value of their company, which would be prime time to do that right before an acquisition, if that were to take place or if they were looking to sell. And then the weird shit with selling off Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics for pennies on the dollar, $300 million for two incredibly talented developmental teams with Deus Ex and Tomb Raider and Legacy of Kain and Thief and like all these valuable IP. And you look at the Bethesda deal for $12 billion, the Activision Blizzard deal for $70 billion, and I'm not saying that those two developers are on par with those two publishers, or I guess three publishers technically, with Activision and Blizzard, and with King, the whole mobile division as well. But I'm not saying that Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics are on that level. But when you're talking about, I think they said 40 plus IP was transferred over to Embracer with this acquisition, and for the sum of $300 million, that's like, it's just no money in the grand scheme of things. It's just very weird behavior from Square Enix across the board. So it seems like this, if they were going to get bought out, if they were going to be bought by somebody, it feels like 2023 would be the year where the stars kind of align for that. So that's going to be my first prediction, that Square Enix gets bought up by someone in 2023. All right, next prediction is going to be Xbox related, and I know there's a lot of rumor right now about Xbox having a January showcase. By the time this comes out, as of recording this, nothing has happened. But by the time this comes out, we'll probably know whether or not that is going to take place. But my prediction really isn't pertaining to that. It kind of could be. If that does take place, then this prediction might not have as much weight. But I'm going to predict that Xbox has an incredible E3 event, like that their showcase is one for like an all-time E3 showcase. I think we'll see everything. And then, like I said, this is kind of, if we get that January showcase, maybe we don't see everything at the E3 showcase if they choose to split up the reveals a little bit. But I'm thinking that we have to see everything here. We have to see, Fable and Perfect Dark and Avowed and the different developers that they bought up in 2018 with fucking In Exile and Ninja Theory with Hellblade and the Compulsion. Like, we need to see everything that's on the table, and there's just been such a long gap between shit like Avowed and Fable and Indiana Jones and like these big announcements without seeing anything for years and years. You're talking about 2020 with Avowed and Fable, and then I believe 2021 with Indiana Jones, and then not really knowing anything about Compulsion or what In Exile has going on. And there's just all these different question marks. State of Decay 3, there's just so many damn question marks, and those question marks have to they have to get answers at some point. It has to happen, or I feel like this would be the year. It's not enough to just have Redfall, Starfield, and Forza Motorsport 7 come out and all be solid. We need to know about the future of what's going on with Xbox. You're asking people to buy in to your $500 console, get involved in your ecosystem. You have to kind of let people know what the hell is going on with all this different stuff you have in development. So I really don't have much of a doubt in my mind that this will be the year we kind of find out about all of that shit, because I do think if we do not find out about all of that shit, then the fan base is going to totally implode and just be like, I'm out on this. And I'm not saying, obviously you'll have your super diehard, what's the name of the fucking Rare game? Sea of Thieves, or your Halo Infinite. You'll have your kind of core fan base who's attached to single properties, and they'll stay loyal to those properties. But the overall kind of wider appeal is going to start to lessen if we don't have more awareness about what the future of Xbox really holds. So I think that this is kind of a given prediction. If Xbox doesn't have an A+ E3 showcase this year, then I'm taking an L on this one. I'll for sure say that I got this prediction wrong. I'm expecting top tier E3 for 2023 at Xbox. And if it's anything less than that, I'm not counting this prediction as correct. Even if it's a B tier showcase, that this has to be top tier. And I'll even do a little poll on the channel or something after we watch the E3 from Xbox. I'll put up a little poll or something and let y'all vote for what letter grade you would give Xbox's E3. And if it's anything lower than an A, then I'll take the L on this one. I'll count it as an incorrect prediction. But moving on, let's go to a little bit of Ubisoft here, and I'm going to predict that Skull and Bones will be indefinitely delayed. Ubisoft talking about Square Enix and their unpredictability and then fucking just the weird behavior. Ubisoft is right there in that boat as well. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like this, I could totally be wrong on this. Skull and Bones could come out and be just a dud and nothing, but I don't know. I just have a weird feeling that the closer we get to this game's release, just as we've seen this many times, the closer we get, the longer it gets delayed. And it just keeps getting pushed back. And I feel like at some point they're just going to say, okay, we're pulling the plug on this. It's never going to come out. It feels weirdly investor related to me as well, where it's oh, well, keep on pumping your damn money into our stocks here, where we have Skull and Bones on the horizon for you. Don't worry. In our lineup for 2023 releases, we have Skull and Bones. Don't worry. In our lineup for 2022 releases, we have Skull and Bones. Don't worry. In our lineup for 2021 releases, we have Skull and Bones. And I feel like this will keep going on forever, or eventually they'll just say, okay, we're pulling the plug on this. It's indefinitely delayed. And maybe that could be the case in 2023 based off of some other things that I do believe will be revealed and may take that place. And you can say, okay, well, even though we have Skull and Bones delayed, we do have these two new things that are on the horizon that are coming very soon that we can talk about and get you hyped about, get you ready to pump money into our company to get a good rate of return here. So Yeah, I'm saying Skull and Bones will be indefinitely delayed, and I think another year will go by where we hear nothing at all about Beyond Good and Evil 2. Not an indefinite delay, not an official announcement, just another year of nothing with Beyond Good and Evil 2. So that's a two-parter that we'll lump in there together. Next prediction is that PSVR 2 will die a slow death. I think it'll come out the gate very just not even in an underwhelming state or anything. Like, I think the hardware will be fine. I think that it'll perform well, like not commercially. I think it will perform well critically. I think people will who get it will enjoy it. I think it will be powerful and do all the fucking technical shit that it's promising, but I just don't think that it's going to have the player base. I don't think people are buying into this thing. And you really can't blame them. There's just nothing about PSVR 2 to me right now that looks promising other than that Horizon game. And like, I don't think that's going to be enough. I think this thing will die a very slow death, and I really think it'll be kind of the end of PlayStation's VR escapade. I think that this is going to wrap everything up after PSVR 2 flops, in which I think it'll flop like hardcore. And I just don't see Sony wanting to sink that money into another iteration of VR after this. I think this will be the end of PlayStation's VR journey, just as they had the PSP and the PS Vita. They did their two, handheld consoles and didn't get the best rate of return on that. And I think the same will be here with their two attempts at VR with PSVR 1 and 2. And I think that after two jumps into this pond, I think they're going to want to get out and dry off for the rest of forever. So PSVR 2 dies a slow death. That is my fifth prediction. On into number 6. I think Starfield will be delayed until holiday 2022. I just put up that ranking. What did I call it? Ranking my most anticipated games of 2023. I said Starfield will be delayed until holiday 2022. You know what I mean? Holiday 2023. Starfield will be delayed until holiday 2023. I just put up that ranking video where I ranked my most anticipated games of 2023, and I said something in there to the effect of, if Starfield releases June 2023, I'll give everybody $20 or something. And I retracted on that. I didn't go through with that bet there, but I did say something to that effect. And as of recording this, what is today? Today is the 3rd. Okay. As of recording this, literally today, I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw that Starfield on a website or something that they had confirmed the first half of 2023, that Starfield will be releasing first half of 2023. I still don't buy it, though. I still do not buy it. I think Starfield is a holiday 2023 title. I think that they'll do the whole June thing. They'll keep that up for a little bit, and then they will announce the delay for Starfield into holiday 2023. But I think the delay will be to the game's benefit. I think Starfield will come out and it won't be that cyberpunk effect. I don't think it'll have those just I'm not saying that it won't be buggy. It's a Bethesda game. It'll be buggy. But I think that delay will be to the game's benefit. I think it will be more polished than most of your day one Bethesda games. I have a feeling that Starfield would have already been out by now if it wasn't for Xbox, if it wasn't for Microsoft. I think the game is probably in a decent state, but I do think that, Phil Spencer and Matt Booty and all those motherfuckers over at Xbox, I think that they know how important this game is to the Xbox ecosystem, and I really think they want nothing less than stellar. I think they want this game coming out day one being polished as shit, at least for a humongous open world role-playing game. Like, you can't really you can't expect it to come out and be flawless. It's just there's too many moving parts. But Yeah, I think it will be delayed until holiday 2023, but I do not think it will launch in a broken, unplayable state. I think it's going to be a somewhat of a smooth launch, at least for a Bethesda game. All right, and my next prediction is another Xbox related prediction, and that is that I think the Activision acquisition, the Activision Blizzard acquisition will go through in 2023 with concessions made by Microsoft to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation in perpetuity. So I think the deal is finalized in 2023, and the main stipulation is that Call of Duty remains on PlayStation forever. As long as there is a PlayStation console to ship Call of Duty to, I think it will be in ink that Call of Duty will be sold on PlayStation. And I think that that's probably the best deal that PlayStation could get out of this. I don't think that they'll be able to strike a deal because I believe what PlayStation wants is for there to be like in writing that Call of Duty can't be on a subscription service or that it can't be on Game Pass, because I know that there was talk about, well, we will allow for Call of Duty to be on PlayStation Plus, but I don't really think that's what PlayStation wants. I think PlayStation wants people to go buy this game for $70 and then they can get their 30% of all of those fucking 30 million, whatever, 20 million $70 purchases. You're talking about a fucking ton of money that PlayStation really doesn't have to work for at all. Whereas if it's on their subscription service or if it's on Game Pass, you're limiting those $70 purchases in that's ultimately, I do think what PlayStation is after is some sort of agreement where Xbox can't put Call of Duty on Game Pass. But I feel like that would be a very, very steep asking price for Xbox to agree to. So I'm thinking at the end of the day, we see this deal getting inked with the official agreement that Call of Duty will be on PlayStation as long as there is a PlayStation console to ship it to. But let me be very clear on all this shit. I am not an expert in any way, shape, or form in mergers and acquisitions. This is just from the perspective of a hopefully somewhat logical gamer who's just looking at this and kind of going, I feel like that might be a possibility. I feel like that looks like a somewhat realistic roadmap for the finalization of this deal. I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. Take it for what you will. Definitely take it with a fucking heaping helping of salt, because I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about on most things. All right. Next up, Star Wars Jedi Survivor wins Game of the Year at the Game Awards for 2023. I think that Respawn is just supremely fucking talented, and I think given time to work on this game, because I just don't think they had that time for and I've talked about this plenty of times on the channel, so sorry for repeating myself here, but I feel like that first game was rushed because it did not have that pristine level of polish that Respawn is known for. And I don't know, I just think given time to work on a game that already has a foundation and then all the improvements that we've already seen in the trailer, like I think that game has a real shot at winning Game of the Year. Plus, it is kind of in that vein of what the critics like to vote for. You look throughout the years, it's almost exclusively third-person action-adventure games. And look, I got to be honest, those are my favorite type of games as well. I would, if I was voting on that shit, I would vote on those same type of games. They're fucking great. And I think that Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor looks to be a really, really great one of those games that gets a lot of love from critics, and rightfully so. So this is kind of a hopeful prediction, but I decided to include it in here because I kept my hope predictions more reveal related. So yeah, to be fair, if I had a hope prediction, any one hope prediction for Game of the Year, it would be that Starfield gets it. But big ass RPGs like that have tons of technical problems just by the nature of being so goddamn big. Yeah, I can't quite see I can't quite, I don't know. I don't know if it'll have that level of polish that allows it to be in that game of the year style contention. But I certainly would fucking love that. Next prediction is that Hogwarts Legacy releases and it's just average. Once again, this is a game I'm highly anticipating. I think the world looks so fucking cool. I think the idea of the game looks so cool. But from what I've seen of Hogwarts Legacy, I have to be totally honest with you guys. The gameplay just looks okay to me. I could see a real world where this game comes out, the gameplay is just okay. The open world is a little bit bland. There's some pretty, glaring technical problems, performance problems, writing, a little bit spotty, voice acting a little bit spotty. I could just see it being one of those games where it has enough issues that just makes it like, that's okay. And maybe that is coming from the perspective of somebody who's not a Harry Potter fan, and maybe you have to be a hardcore Harry Potter fan to look at this game, see what's going on, and go, oh, that's exactly what I wanted from the movies and the books. This is exactly how I would want the game version of this to be depicted. But from a fan of just video games, like, the idea of this game sounds tremendous. I'm frothing at the mouth to see if they can execute on it. It sounds so cool of being able to create and customize your character and have this world to exist in where you're going to class and interacting with the different characters and kind of carving your path within Hogwarts. Like, that sounds so cool. But there's so many other moving parts with a game outside of just those role-playing scenarios. So I'm very, very curious to see if they can piece everything together. But from what I've seen so far, I just have a feeling that this game's going to come out and just be kind of okay, which might be good enough for most people. And look, man, the developers for Hogwarts Legacy, like, I'm sure that they're a talented group of people and all that, but their track record is really only that Disney Infinity game, so they're unproven with a game of this magnitude. I don't know. I like I said, I hope the best for it. I never wish games to flop or fail or anything like that, but I don't know. I'm sort of skeptical just on the gameplay front with Hogwarts Legacy. It's still one of my most anticipated games of the year because, like I talked about in that video, anticipation and ambition and potential, those are all under that same umbrella to me. And the potential and the ambition is certainly on offer with Hogwarts Legacy. Next prediction is, talked about this in that anticipation video as well, so I'll move through it quickly. I think you'll be able to play as Venom in Spider-Man 2. I don't see what else Insomniac would be doing here. I think that would be the big kind of obvious next step for them. You've played as Miles, you've played as Peter, you've played as Mary Jane. Now, like, okay, let's move on to play as Venom. And I think it will be playing as Venom in the main game. I don't think it'll be DLC related. I think there will be like a significant chunk of the game, 2-3 hours, whatever, where you get to play as Venom. Next prediction is that crime boss Rockay City will be the surprise hit of 2023. I think when I'm thinking of surprise hit, I'm thinking of games that, because you could put Plucky Squire in here. You know what I mean? And let's go ahead and Plucky Squire, I think, will win any game of the year for 2023. But when I'm thinking of surprise hit, I'm thinking of something that nobody is really expecting to be nearly as good as it ends up being. And I think Crime Boss Rockay City has all the makings of being that. It's silly. It's so self-aware of what it is, seemingly. It's not trying to really be anything gritty and serious, and like, it's sticky, it's fun, it's 90s love letter, just sort of comedic Grand Theft Auto, not even really Grand Theft Auto because it's not the open world, but it's just a old school sort of crime game. And I feel like people are are yearning for that a lot more than developers or publishers realize. And I think when this comes out and ends up doing really well, I think people are going to be very, very surprised. I don't know, critically, it might fall a little bit flat, but I think fans will be the kind of deciding factor on this game's success, and I think it will be a surprise hit with fans. Okay, so go ahead and throw the Plucky Squire wins best indie game of 2023 prediction in there as well. But my last prediction is going to be Horizon related. And it is that I think we're going to see Horizon, the quote-unquote remake, revealed. And I think it's just going to be a remaster, a very light remaster, upgraded to the PS5 where they're charging $70 for it. And I don't think that will be a big deal at all. I think that... I don't, obviously, once again, I am not an insider giving you scoops. I'm not trying to feed you scoops here. I'm just sort of giving I just don't see how in the world they could ever think they would be able to get away with quote unquote remaking a 2017 game. If they try to do that, more power to you for having the balls of steel to go out there and take that onslaught of criticism that is going to be totally justified, because that is a ridiculous thing to actually put out there. If we were to get a Horizon remake, I'm finding the tallest cliff in the world. That's absolutely absurd. So I'm just trying to be logical here with my brain and go, okay, I don't think we're actually going to see a Horizon remake. I think that a remaster is in development, and somehow wires got crossed and it was reported that a full-on remake was happening. Maybe, once again, that's a hopeful prediction, because I'm hoping to God we don't see some damn Horizon remake in 2023 get announced. So I'm thinking we'll see a Horizon remaster announced, but not a full-on remake. And I'd be totally okay with getting a Horizon remaster. Allow people who haven't played the first game to go and buy it on PS5 alongside Forbidden West, and get that damn extra $70 out of them. I'm never mad at a developer, publisher, whatever, for making some extra money by re-releasing titles. No problem with that at all. My thing has always been and will always be, I don't want talented-ass teams like Guerrilla wasting away on a remake of a 2017 game. So, yeah, my final prediction, Horizon remake is actually a remaster. All right, and next up, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into the game reveal predictions, and I'll move through this pretty quickly. There just kind of a lot here that I don't really have a ton to say on, just things that I think will pop up, things that I think will get official reveals in 2023. Started off with the most anticipated game in development in the world by a long shot, and that is Grand Theft Auto 6. I think it will get its first official reveal trailer. I think it'll have a very vague 2024 date attached to it with no specifics, no window, no specific date, anything like that. Just a 2024, right there at the end of the trailer. And then I think it will inevitably be delayed until 2025, as that's usually the case with most Rockstar games. They get their window and then it gets pushed back a year and you finally get the game, and it's one of the greatest games in the world. That is kind of how they roll. They take their time, but when they put shit out, it is typically as good as anything the industry has on offer. So that is the first prediction. Next up, The Witcher 4. I think it will get a cinematic teaser shot, and I think in that teaser, it will suggest that you'll be creating your own character in The Witcher 4. You know what? Let me take a step back here. I think there will be a Witcher game announced in 2023 that suggests you'll be creating your own character. I don't know. I'm not going to lock it to The Witcher 4. Maybe that's a continuation of Geralt and Ciri, and maybe they have a spin-off project, Canis Mogeris or whatever, where you create your own character. But I think there will be a Witcher game announced in 2023 that suggests you'll be creating your own character in the game, your own brand new Witcher. Next prediction is that Ghost of Tsushima 2 will reveal, and it will be revealed with a surprising amount of gameplay shown off. I'm thinking like a 2-3 minute obviously you're going to have your cinematics in there. You're going to have your story bits in there, your world shots. But I think we'll get a surprising amount of gameplay attached to it as well. And I think it'll have a 2024 release window. I'm not going to go as far as saying a date, but I'm going to say a window. And I think it will actually hit 2024, because when I'm looking at the slate for PlayStation games, with Tsushima releasing in 2020, a 4-year turnaround, with next year really only, I guess they would have that Rise of the Ronin game in 2024 as well, which, yeah, I don't know if you would really want to launch those games alongside one another. So maybe that puts a wrench into that plan there, but I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to stick with it. Tsushima 2024 alongside, like, that would be Wolverine's year as well. Because I was just thinking, if Wolverine's the only other big AAA single-player title for 2024 slated right now, then Ghost of Tsushima 2 would perfectly slot in there. But Rise of the Ronin, I did kind of forget about that. And that's a very, very similar premise to Ghost of Tsushima. So I wouldn't think they would want those two competing, but sometimes there's really not a lot you can do about it. So I'm saying 2024 for Ghost of Tsushima. Could I see that getting pushed to 2025? For sure, but when I'm looking at those damn development, when I'm looking at that schedule, when I'm looking at how long it's starting to take, Tsushima 1 in 2020 to the next game being 5 years later, that is fucking crazy, man. So I don't know. I would hope for 2024, but who knows? We shall see. Next reveal prediction, Metal Gear Solid from Blue Point. I don't know if you saw that tweet, that damn tweet that Blue Point put out with all the different boxes, and then they had little weapons from all the other games that they've remade, and then they had their own little specific box that coincided with the game and with the weapon, and then you just had this one little box on its own that didn't really have any decoration attached to it, that didn't have a weapon attached to it. And of course, I'm sitting here and I have my fucking tinfoil hat glued to my noggin right now, but I'm thinking, okay, well, why are these other boxes decorated? Why is this specific brown box not decorated? Just a straight up plain ass brown box. What could possibly be in the brown box? A motherfucking snake in the box. I think that's what we're getting. Snake in the box. I think that was the first official little glimpse at the future of Blue Point. I think we will be seeing a snake pop out of that box. Solid Snake, Metal Gear Solid 1 remake from Blue Point. I think it will be officially revealed in 2023. Am I reaching, grasping for straws there? That is totally, sipping on the copium cup. I get it, but I want Metal Gear Solid back, so I'm wishing that into existence. And this is still reveal predictions. I'm not even into my damn hopes yet. So we're getting out there already on the factual lock it in predictions. Wait till we get to the damn hopes. All right, next up on the list for reveal predictions, Tony Hawk 6. Either Tony Hawk 6 or a remake of 3 and 4. I think the Activision Blizzard deal goes through, let's say, mid-2023. I think this gets announced like at the Game Awards 2023. Because I believe there was a lot of talk about, like the pros of this deal going through that Microsoft submitted to the fucking CMA or whatever was, we'll bring back a lot of long dormant franchises from the Activision catalog. And this is absolutely one that I think people are clamoring for, with that 2020 remake of 1 and 2 doing so well, people loving it. Just a great remake. I know I can only speak for myself. I'm yearning for more Tony Hawk. I would like to see just a brand new game, or a remake of Tony Hawk Underground 1 and 2 would be so sick. Like a modern open world and shit with creating your character. Like that would be so badass. But I'd be down for anything more in the Tony Hawk universe. And I think we will get this, specifically if the deal goes through. I think we will see an announcement for a new Tony Hawk game, which, it will be a ways out, but I think we will get it. And a lot of those teams who have been stationary or kind of, put on to these support roles for Call of Duty, I think they'll start to flex their wings a little bit and get out there and create shit that's not soul sucking for them, which I don't know. Maybe they enjoy that process of having something sustainable and having something that they know is kind of set in stone to look forward to year in and year out. I guess I could maybe see that, but I don't know. I feel like they have to be passionate about other projects that they would want to work on. So hopefully after this deal is finalized, that can kind of take place, because, Xbox is always needing new shit to put on Game Pass, new content to be circulated through their service there, and you're just sitting on so many excellent IP in that Activision catalog. So hopefully this is the first of many. Next prediction, number 6, is that Ubisoft Star Wars game is revealed for the first time. And unfortunately, I swear to God, I wrote this down before the gameplay director or whatever, he tweeted out this vague tweet. I'll put it up on the screen, pretty much saying that the game will be revealed. I promise, right hand to God, you can believe me, not believe me. I had this prediction before that, but I decided to go in here and spice it up a little bit. That way I'm not resting on my laurels too much here. I think when they reveal it, they will show gameplay, and we'll see that the flying mechanics from Beyond Good and Evil 2 were put into this Star Wars game. And I think that will be further confirmation that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is dead. My next kind of tag prediction onto this is that I think when we see this game, when we see this open world, who is it Massive, the team who did the Division, if I'm not mistaken? You can correct me if I'm wrong on any of these little details. They're not, it's not tied to any of these predictions or whatever, but I'm thinking that we will see this game and will kind of be wowed by what we see. I do think that Ubisoft, because if you're looking at who you would want to make an open world Star Wars game, you can say what you will about Ubisoft, and you can say what you will about, the open world checkbox formula, and I have to say something about that, is that I think that this whole notion of open world checkbox bad is not really, or at least for me, that's not the way I look at Ubisoft's problem. I look at their mission structure as being bad, of like, oh, go and demolish 40 signs in the open world. Like, that's the checkbox shit that I don't like. The actual, like, navigation of using the map and having the markers on the map and then going to where the marker, putting the fucking, I guess putting the waypoint on the map and then following the waypoint to your destination, like, that's not a problem to me at all. The only thing I don't like is a lot of that mission structure kind of fucking sucks in Ubisoft's games. But with that being said, you look to something like Odyssey, and they have their standout open world titles like Far Cry 3 that are just above and superior to a lot of what the industry offers. So I totally get why Star Wars wanted to partner up with Ubisoft. And I think that Ubisoft, if they really fucking focused on this, I think they could make an excellent Star Wars game, with, like I said, they have that Beyond Good and Evil tech of who knows if it all works in practice. Like, if you actually do get into those ships, do they run appropriately? Does it work within the rules of this game world? Like, we really don't know. But when you look at what was going on with that Beyond Good and Evil 2, the flying and all that, you have this space exploration system. Like, that would be really fucking cool to see in a Star Wars game. And I don't know, man. Like, I think this could be really, really badass. And I do think when we see this revealed, I think we're going to be shocked. And I think this could be a huge, huge hit. This is like, the idea of this is kind of a dream game for me. Like an open world Star Wars adventure where you're playing as a bounty hunter or even playing as a Jedi or whatever. Like, that's kind of a dream game for me. And I just being totally real, I can't think of many better studios equipped to handle a game like this. Ubisoft really is kind of top tier with their open world development. They definitely have their misses, but I think they have their misses because they have so much output of open world titles. So hopefully they can take some time and really fine tune this and deliver a very, very special Star Wars experience. But that's a long-winded way of saying I think that the Star Wars Ubisoft game will be revealed. I think it'll have the Beyond Good and Evil 2 flying mechanics in it, where you're using vehicles to traverse the open world, and it looks similar to Beyond Good and Evil 2, and I think people will be pleasantly surprised by the reveal. All right, let's speed this up. Staying with Ubisoft, Splinter Cell I think will be shown off as well, with a full gameplay deep dive and a release date for 2024. Okay, and next up, I'm going to predict we get a Legacy of Kain remastered collection. Not like full-on Destroy All Humans level remake, but somewhere in that realm, like slightly below what we got with Destroy All Humans, which, is also in the Embracer umbrella. So I think that could be a fair range of what to expect, like slightly below Destroy All Humans, but somewhere in that range of a remaster for, I don't know, maybe all the Legacy of Kain games, but something Legacy of Kain remastered announced in 2023. Okay, next, NCAA 2024. I really debated on the date here, but I think NCAA football will officially be announced to return within the next, I was thinking 2025, but I'm going to go optimistic here and stick with 2024. And the last NCAA football game was 2014, so I feel like that could be, a best case scenario. Well, shit. If it's 2024, that would mean that it would have to come out in 2023 because they always go a year ahead. So, okay. You know what? Let's switch this. We'll go 2025. I think it'll get announced in 2023, release in 2024, which will make it NCAA 2025. But it will release in 2024. You guys get what I'm saying with how they always do the sports games a year in advance. So this year we'll get like NBA 2K24, but it will release in 2023. We'll get NCAA 2025, but it will release in 2024. We'll get the official announcement for that. And yeah, I love the NCAA football games. Some of me and my buddies' favorite games to play. So I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing the return of that. I believe they were saying that we were supposed to have already had it by now. So maybe something went wrong with that, but I'm really hoping that we see it brought back. Next up, Dragon Age 4 with brief gameplay and a 2024 release date. This is one that it's not really all that, like, this is pretty much, I'm not saying a guarantee, but it should be a guarantee with, I believe they just exited alpha, they're entering into beta, and the next step is shipping the game. So we should see this probably early 2024 if I had to make like a specific guess. And I think we'll get quite a bit of gameplay probably around E3 time or so, and then that'll stretch out into the Game Awards, see even more of it. And yeah, I think we will finally get this damn game launched to us in 2024. Staying right there with BioWare, Mass Effect 4, in-depth cinematic where we get a full look at who we're playing as, and I do believe it will either be Liara or your created version of Shepard returning. And yeah, I don't think we'll see a release date for this anytime soon. Dragon Age will obviously be first priority. That should launch, in my opinion, 2024. Mass Effect sometime probably 2025, 2026. Control 2. So I think that this should probably be revealed at the Game Awards. No release date attached to it or anything like that, but I would assume we're returning to the Federal Bureau of Control. We're getting another look at Jesse Faden in action. Next-gen exclusive, Remedy at their best, doing some cool-ass action shit with a cool-ass story. ominous plot line, all that shit. I think we will see all of that. The only thing here is that if not Mass Effect, if Alan Wake 2 gets delayed into 2024, then that makes me a little bit less optimistic about Control getting announced in 2023. I feel like that would just be a kind of weird move if Alan Wake 2 hasn't come out. But I'm thinking maybe Alan Wake 2 comes out in October, then Control 2 is revealed at the Game Awards in December. Okay, we still got quite a bit here, so let's rapid fire through this. Factions 2, the new Last of Us Factions. I think it will have a in-depth gameplay reveal, and I think this will happen sooner rather than later. I think we'll probably get this alongside a Spider-Man 2 deep dive into the gameplay, and I think that this will have a 2023 release date attached to it. I'm not saying it hits that date, but I'm thinking that this will have a holiday 2023 release date attached to it, maybe pushed into early 2024. But yeah, I think we'll see this game sooner rather than later. I think it will come out and probably be a very competent live service game that dies fairly quickly, unfortunately. What is it? 14th prediction here, Devil May Cry 6. I just think it's about that damn time. Nothing really to add there. Roll 7. I believe Roll 7, the makers of Rollerdrome and Ollie Ollie World, I think they will reveal a new game building off of Rollerdrome's foundation. Don't know if it'll be Rollerdrome 2 or just something kind of, even something fucking Jet Set Radio Future-esque. I could see somewhere in between. I don't think they'll do like full-on open world. You know, they don't have Sega money, but I could maybe even see them partnering with a Sony or a Microsoft to, you know, for Sony or Microsoft to publish a big, not necessarily AAA, because you have your limitations there with just the size of the team inherently, but a bigger scale version of what we got with Rollerdrome. I'm predicting that gets announced in 2023. Not saying specifically Rollerdrome 2, but something Rollerdrome adjacent or something that's similar to Rollerdrome in style, but on a bigger scale. All right, next prediction is that I think we will see at that same PlayStation showcase, you know, the big Spider-Man 2 blowout, I think we will also see a new Uncharted game revealed. And this had been leaked recently that they were going to reboot the Uncharted series with a new developer coming on to work on the series. So, you know, not Naughty Dog related, a new Uncharted non-Naughty Dog related game. And this actually sounds pretty damn sick to me, just to see what else can be done in the Uncharted universe where it's not associated with Naughty Dog. Just see what other ideas some new team has for this series. And I tweeted about this, but I think it's way too big of a title, way too big of an IP to just be left dormant. Like there's a lot of juice left in that squeeze, I believe. I really think people would love to return to Uncharted. I can only speak for myself, but I'm totally down to jump back into the world of Uncharted, either playing as whoever, you know, Drake's daughter, or playing as fucking Sully on like an, you know, adventure in the 60s or 70s or whatever. Like, I'm totally down for something like that. Next up, Joseph Fares will reveal his new game at the Game Awards. Don't know if it'll be It Takes Two Part 2, but it will be, I'm assuming, another big couch co-op style experience. The EA Indies title, or whatever the hell they're calling it, the EA Originals, funded by EA with the fucking crazy budget for these very, very niche games. And I shouldn't say niche because they won Game of the Year with It Takes Two, but definitely not what you would expect from EA. And I just got to give them kudos for allowing Joseph Fares to go out and work on these crazy ass projects. And once again, if you let creative people and great talented teams go out and make shit that they're passionate about, that's what you get. A fucking Game of the Year sitting on your in your EA headquarters for It Takes Two, a project that I'm sure so many people, so many of the higher ups up there scoffed at. So Shout out to Joseph Ferris. Shout out to It Takes Two. I think we'll see his new game revealed at, obviously, the Game Awards. 18, Resident Evil 9. I'm kind of going to leave it there because I think we're at the point now with Resident Evil where I have no predictions whatsoever. We ended the Winter Saga with Shadows of Rose, so I really don't know where you go from here. You obviously had like your Chris reveals and some characters sort of making hints of an appearance in 7 and 8 that are historically important characters. So maybe you do go back to the well a little bit there. Maybe you go into a brand new world like we saw with the world of the Winners family. Maybe we explore some new family in a new setting. To be totally frank, just my personal opinion, I would like to see like these historically important characters, kind of see them right off into the sunset. But to do that, I do want some sort of finality, some sort of conclusion on what happened to their characters after Resident Evil 6. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I know that Capcom probably wants to get away from the story arc that they created with 6, but I don't know. I kind of want some sort of conclusion on those big important characters. But I don't know. I'm a defender of 6. I liked the cinematic approach. I wouldn't mind seeing more of that, but in this new like RE2 remake style of very strict survival horror gameplay focus, not over the top action, but having that nice send off and cinematic flair to really highlight these characters and put some respect on Leon S. Kennedy and Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine and Claire Redfield. And like, I would just kind of like to see what all those characters are up to. But, you know, that's the nostalgic Resident Evil fan in me. I'm sure many people would much prefer to have a brand new game that has no attachments to any of the old legacy characters. So I can get that, I guess. Next prediction is that... Oh, shit. That is my final prediction because I included the Xbox E3 prediction in here because it's technically a reveal prediction as well, but we already talked about that one in the big news prediction segment. So we will go ahead and transition on to the hopes. And a big disclaimer here that these are things that I think will likely not take place. These are games that I do not think will be revealed in 2023, but these are things that I absolutely like. If I could get what do we have here? 7 wishes. If I could get 7 wishes from the gaming gods, these are the 7 games that I would like to see revealed in 2023. So let's go ahead and kick this off with the one I always kick off any sort of hopes related discussion with for games that I want to see come out. An X-Men RPG, an X-Men action RPG specifically. Something like a Hogwarts Legacy, but you know, with the X Mansion or the Xavier Institute and interacting with your different mutants and learning your mutant abilities and upgrading them. And, you know, kind of like in Midnight Suns where you could go out and train with Blade and upgrade your characters and build bonds that way. And like, honestly, I would like to see some of that Midnight Suns friendship system intertwined into an X-Men game where you're going off and, you know, gazing at the stars, sitting out by the pool. Because, like, I recently watched X-Men Evolution, and there is so much of that kind of youthful, fun energy in X-Men Evolution where the mutants are, some of them are like Scott Summers. You're kind of learning about who Scott Summers is as well as you're learning who Cyclops is. And Scott Summers is a kid going off to high school and kind of a popular kid, but he's also dealing with, you know, this crazy fucking mutant ability that he's been given and trying to come to terms with that. And like, but there's still that fun dynamic of you have like Magneto's crew who's in the school with you and you're always going off on field trips and kind of competing against Magneto's crew. And there's this budding rivalry that also turns into a friendship at times where you come to help one another. And I don't know, I would just love to see that similar to like what we could potentially get with Hogwarts Legacy, but with a team that's a little bit more capable, a team that's done, and I'm not trying to disparage whatever Avalanche, I always forget the names because it's like there's the Avalanche who works on the Just Cause games, who have made super high quality third person open world games for a while, and then there's the Avalanche team who's working on the Hogwarts game, who's made like Disney Infinity and shit like that. But I'm sure that for Hogwarts Legacy, they staffed up massively to make this dream game become a reality. But regardless of all that, imagine like an Obsidian coming in and working on an X-Men action RPG, or any of the fucking all those teams over at Xbox, and an Exile, or Bethesda. I couldn't see a world where Bethesda would do that, but they just have so many of those action RPG developers over there. I would love to see them crank out something and get something exclusive into their universe, and I think an X-Men RPG would just be absolutely fantastic. You can always dream about your CD Projekt Reds, or a number of different developers out there who I think could execute on this. Even, this isn't going to be a popular opinion probably, but Ubisoft. I think Ubisoft would make a dope ass open world X-Men action RPG. I'd be totally down to see that. Or Monolith, the people who made the Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor games. I know they're working on Wonder Woman right now, but yeah, I could totally see them making a cool ass action RPG in the X-Men universe. Or like if somehow Don't Nod got a contract with Microsoft or Sony, and was given $300 million to go and crank this out, and hired some combat designers from the likes of a Ubisoft or the likes of an Obsidian, and maybe this is a first person action role playing game, or you could do it so many different ways. But yeah, I think that would be really, really cool to see these characters come to life in a big high budget role playing game, and where you get to maybe create your character and all that shit. But yeah, next, Hope, a Parasite Eve, even if it's just a spiritual successor, something in the Parasite Eve universe, that is a game that desperately needs to come back. A JRPG that you can also combine with more traditional modern survival horror mechanics. I think Aya Brea is a dope-ass character. The mitochondria, all that weird scientific shit that they had going on in Parasite Eve. Just a really cool world, a cool cast of characters. I think modernizing that combat, modernizing some traversal systems in the game, I think could be really, really dope. Staying in that world of survival horror, Dino Crisis. I thought about putting either Outbreak or Dino Crisis on my predictions list, but I just went with a safe one for Resident Evil 9. I know that's not as fun, but Dino Crisis, would love to see that return. Would love to see Outbreak, Code Veronica, Onimusha. Like, there's some cool shit in the Capcom library that I would like to see return, but if I could pick anything, it would probably be Dino Crisis, just for the uniqueness of it. Next up, Punisher by the Coalition. Speaking again to... I don't know why. It's like this weird underdog thing, and I know it's not really an underdog thing because Xbox is owned by Microsoft, but I do kind of root for them in a weird way. Like, I want them to do good, and it's not any weird console war bullshit. Like, I think PlayStation first-party games are top tier, state-of-the-art, like the best you can get in the industry. So it's I don't have anything against Sony by any means, but I do kind of root for that comeback story for Microsoft. And what better way to utilize your most talented, most reliable studio from 2006 to 2019, a 13-year gap? How that would be such an awesome reward of saying, okay, you carried us through these generations. Now's your chance to go off and make what would shatter every sales record you could ever imagine from a Coalition game, a Punisher title. And they already have all the making, all the DNA, all the know-how to make an excellent Punisher game. Gory, brutal, up close, visceral combat. The Coalition would just, they would totally kill that. So yeah, I would love to see that. And my next prediction, once again, staying in the Microsoft universe here, promise I'm not trying to sound like a shill here. They just got so many damn teams, so many little fucking interesting, so much interesting shit going on here, there, and everywhere. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. But this is one that's so personal to me beyond any sort of console. Wherever the hell this thing would come out, I would be flocking to it day one. And that is The Evil Within 3. I think if this game is going to continue on, it has to be revealed this year. If this franchise has any chance, if there's any life left in the lungs of The Evil Within, it has to be revealed this year, because I don't think fans are, for one, you have to reinvigorate the fan base by announcing a new game to let them know, okay, yeah, the plot line is continuing on. The Evil Within 2 definitely ended with room for a sequel. And to have that officially confirmed, okay, yeah, we are getting it, and still having the fan base, it's not too far out. Like, I think 2017 was The Evil Within 2, so it's not too far out that people had totally forgotten about the plot line. But I do think if you were to extend it anywhere past like 2024, 2025 for the release of The Evil Within 3, you're shit out of luck. The game came out in 2017. Like, you can't have The Evil Within 3 drop in 2027, 10 years after the second game, unless you just totally went back to the drawing board, rebooted the entire franchise. But the only thing that gives me hope is that Ghostwire Tokyo was initially being built as The Evil Within 3. So that kind of lets me go, okay, if it's at least in their mind to go back to this, then there's hope left. And to see a Microsoft-funded survival horror title, I think that's crucial for Game Pass. I think that would be huge for Game Pass. Maybe not huge sales-wise, and maybe that's what hurt The Evil Within 1 and 2, but for a Game Pass audience, I mean, look what happened with Signalis. I don't know the specific number, but I heard so much about Signalis, a game that if it hadn't been for Game Pass, I don't think you would have heard much about it at all, unfortunately. So imagine The Evil Within 3, a big AAA survival horror title on Game Pass. Like, I think that could be huge. So I hope we get it, but I do not think we have much time left at all. If it's not announced this year, that franchise is unfortunately probably dead. And those are the two best survival horror games, in my opinion, of the last 20 years. So that would really, really fucking blow. All right, and we'll wrap up these last two hopes here quickly. First one, a new Grand Theft Auto clone, a new IP, similar to your Sleeping Dogs, your Saints Rows, just a new open world crime action adventure title that is similar to those style of games, announced by a big AAA publisher, a big AAA developer. I'm not going to put any specifics attached to anything, but something that is very reminiscent of your Grand Theft Auto, Saints Row, Sleeping Dogs style games. And like I said, we've talked about this before, but I think there's a yearning for the return of these games, and they're just not being catered to at all. And Saints Row sold surprisingly well, despite it, being the kind of a shitty reboot last year. And I really do think some AAA developer needs to get on this ASAP. If we can get 454 Souls-like games each year, there's definitely enough room on the market for 2-3 Grand Theft Auto-esque games each year. So, yeah, I really do hope that we get something like that announced in 2023. Last prediction. A new IP from Naughty Dog that is very James Bond-esque. That's what I hope for Naughty Dog. I hope that they finish up Factions and they leave The Last of Us for a little bit. I know they're going to go back to Part 3. And I want them to go back to Part 3. I want to play Part 3, but I need a little bit of a break. I don't want Naughty Dog to jump right back in to The Last of Us Part 3. Let's go to something a little bit more lighthearted. Let's get you back in that Uncharted feel, that Uncharted vibe, even if like a little buddy cop game or just something that is more just lighthearted. Like, I want to see the realism, and I want to see the incredible cinematic storytelling and that emergent gameplay that Naughty Dog creates, but on a slightly less dramatic, slightly less just depressing tone for their next game. So yeah, I want something like Spy. I want to see Naughty Dog in the world of the spies, fucking around with that sort of tone and that sort of aesthetic and storyline. So yeah, a Naughty Dog James Bond knockoff title. That is going to be my last hope for 2023. I think Naughty Dog's the best in the biz. They're, in my opinion, probably the top 3 most talented developers in the industry. So I don't want to just see them work on Last of Us for the rest of their existence. I really do hope they have the opportunity to crank out a new IP sooner rather than later. So that is my final hope for 2023. That's a big old video, my big video game predictions extravaganza. I hope you all enjoyed. And like I said, leave your predictions down in the comments below, your hopes down in the comments below. Whatever you want to drop down there, drop it down there, and I will shoot the breeze with you about whatever the hell you're predicting. And we can look back at this in 2024 and laugh at how wrong we were on all our predictions. But that is it for today. I appreciate you all for watching, and I will see you people in the next video. Hope you're doing well. Hope 2023 is kicking off in a big, beautiful way for you all. And yeah, man, take it easy. See you guys soon. Goodbye.